Okay, so it seems like we have some more updates in terms of the Holostars management structure situation thing that's been going on. Now, if you don't know, this was an announcement that was released the other day that was a pretty big topic for a lot of people in the VTuber space, because obviously Holostars, one of the branches of cover that has a big male kind of cast. And yeah, obviously it is now kind of being cut off from a lot of kind of group things, for example, like concerts, events, merch and all of that kind of stuff. And this was all covered in the article, which we covered in a video the other day. If you guys want to go back and watch that, I definitely recommend going back and watching it, because we go through literally everything that is going on with Holostars and how this will affect them. But obviously, yeah, they say it will affect company-led projects, talent streams conducted in company studios, merch releases, productions of releases of original songs. A lot of that stuff is now going to have to be done by the talent themselves if they want anything like that to actually go on. Now, again, I think that is obviously a pretty mixed opinion for a lot of people, because of course, a lot of people were sad and whatever, but also a lot of people were saying that, there really wasn't a lot of people that, wanted to watch Holostars, right? There'll be a lot of people saying, hey, let's go support them. Let's go, kind of give them our support, right? But none of them would actually go and watch a stream, which obviously ended up to the problem where we are now, where it's actually almost understandable that cover, had to cut them off because, or I say cut them off, obviously had to kind of, downsize, I guess, in terms of how much support they're getting, is because, obviously it was a little bit of a financial issue for them, because they weren't making the money necessary for them to continue supporting them, which obviously is sad, and obviously it sucks, because, it would be great to see them succeed, but, that just wasn't there in the first place. And we discussed things, for example, like Kiara getting a lot of backlash as well for commenting on the situation and saying, like, sometimes, content creation involves a lot of luck, and sometimes it's not necessarily the fact that you're talented, because obviously if you're talented, it does include a bit of luck at the same time, right? It's always a combination. But yeah, no, she ended up getting a bit of backlash over that. But it seems that there's been a couple of more responses as well, including people noticing that now the Holostars audition page is now gone, which obviously means that it's pretty cooked for like future generations of Holostars, right? Because again, a lot of people were wondering, will this still continue on despite the kind of lack of, I guess, support that they would be getting in terms of like kind of concerts and whatever, and kind of doing these events? Would they still actually add to the roster despite that? And it seems like no. Like, it seems like essentially this is going to be the last of Holostars, at least from what I'm kind of gathering from this. It's going to be the last of Holostars until the current members either leave or, either, whatever, right? It seems like these are going to be the last ones, right? And yes, it's not found here. It's a goodbye Holostars audition page. Yes, both the EN and JP pages are gone, which is very interesting, because obviously we weren't 100% sure, whether this meant both EN and JP. Because obviously they said, changes to be made to Holostars management structure. People kind of, were saying like, oh, okay, it's probably, just the JP kind of side of things. They say Holostar has been active for almost 7 years. The debuts of the first, second, and third gen, followed by Uproar. But again, they never actually really mentioned anything about EN. At least that's what some people were talking about, right? But again, they've removed the EN page apparently for Holostars. So again, it is pretty interesting, right? It's really interesting to see a lot of this stuff go down, and what this will go on. People saying don't engage with trolls, by the way. Like, don't even like or quote or tweet it or anything. Just ignore it or block it. Saying, oh geez, it ain't no way. Didn't Stars and just advertise the audition like a month ago? So did they? I think I remember them doing this shortly after Vanguard came out. But I can't recall a recent reminder. And obviously, yeah, people saying this page has been defunct for years, and the new page is a single unified one elsewhere. And they're saying, no, this is actually the newer one that they occasionally update the image with. It had Tempest 6 for a good year, and I kept tabs on this every few months, so it's a real deal. It was in 07, saying, what, why? Actually, they moved the audition page for for everything to a single page. The audition page was separated for JPENID and Stars. Now everything is in the same page. So this is what apparently this is here. They're saying, as you can see, it says gender and nationality doesn't matter. And so yeah, I think if you go to this one, it says this one's hololive production VTuber audition, which again is a little bit different, I think. Here it is. So yeah, hololive audition. requirements. Let's see, 18 years or older, nationality or gender of the applicant does not matter, which again I think is interesting. So I don't know if this is supposed to be the fact, because I don't know. I don't think it is necessarily a sign up to Holostars though, right? Because this is a hololive page, and they say nationality and gender of the applicant does not matter, but I feel like it would be more specific, right? In terms of like, oh, you could get into something like Holostars, whereas this seems to be just for like, yeah, hololive type stuff. So again, I don't know. I don't know if that's 100% true. From what I've seen, it seems that they've just removed the website for the Holostars audition page, and a lot of people are pretty interested by that, saying EN2, that's, yeah, from what Axel said, worried. Kind of surprised it was still up to this point when cover started some time ago, that they didn't plan to introduce any new talents for the foreseeable future, so as to focus on what they had. So at that point, why even leave the audition pages up if they aren't hiring? But yeah, obviously, yeah, it seems like that was something that was going on. There's also been a lot of the streamers behind Holostars as well, posting these kind of things. There's been a couple of them, including, I think, who was it? I forgot who the other one was, but there's a couple streamers that have been doing this, essentially playing bum simulator, like homeless simulator, and going around with a sign, being like, Holostars talent, by the way. And I thought it was pretty funny, right? But obviously it's got 1.7 million views. A lot of people have been tuning into it and stuff, which I thought is I guess a funny way to make like a lighthearted joke out of it, right? For something that obviously is so bad for a lot of these members, right? And something that obviously worries them quite a bit. They're obviously trying to I guess fight back with that with humor, which obviously is a good thing. Going forwards, as well as apparently Regis Altair also addressed the recent announcement at the start of his Super Battle Golf stream, saying, I know it's been really depressing for the recent news of the JP stars. I woke up to it and went straight back to sleep because it felt like a punch in the gut. But I didn't want to add that leader addressed the announcement at the beginning of his Super Battle Golf collab with Ruse, Porcelain Maid, Saikuno, and Giga. He's currently streaming and had to be careful about choosing what to say due to his evident frustration, so I'm not sure it will survive the VOD. I promise I'm not trying to stir more drama by discussing it here, but I do think it's important for anyone that didn't get to see it yet. And they say major points, he asked fans to please show as much support to JP stars and to vouch for them, as he acknowledged how hard they've worked despite the adversity they've faced. They heavily implied that this could happen to EN stars as well, and not to be surprised if people start seeing cuts to their side, even if they start out small. So yeah, obviously it seems like there is a bit of a discrepancy between EN and JP. They say is grateful that he has his own 3D studio to use, and did throw some shade at the company as he made it all on his own with his own money, which was about 40k. Apparently he addressed certain clippers and commenters taking his words out of context or making bad faith arguments about his studio as just a rented suite from Cover when he was just the first person to use it. Stated that he brought up numerous cost-cutting suggestions for the projects to management, particularly music, but they denied all of them. So apparently, yeah, he tried to come up with solutions onto how they could actually cut costs and whatever, and concluded by saying that he hates how much money controls everything, which I definitely agree with him there, which, yeah, obviously it does suck, as I said, but, whenever it comes to a, company, it is all about money, right? And of course, they're gonna want to do what's best for them in terms of financial, numbers and whatever. They say, thanks for this. I said, I know Altaire's found it particularly frustrating over the years and was a little bit worried what might happen. That I'm not sure why the bullet points aren't working. Oh, okay, I don't know why that's not working. Said Altaire's been outspoken from a corporate standpoint about this for a while. Can't imagine how frustrating it's been. So this kind of reframes things a bit, because Cover had just started supporting Stars EN a bit more, like the free concert. So maybe that was just like a last-ditch effort to show they could be profitable. So please correct me if I'm wrong, but Everglow was entirely done by Stars EN management. Again, I don't know the kind of intricate details of that, but yeah, it seems like obviously they have tried to fight for it to continue, and for there to be other ways to kind of cut costs and whatever. but it seems like it has been done in the way that it has been done, and that is essentially, you know, all there is for this, right? But yeah, I mean, that is essentially all there is for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kazo, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.